One day, James's brother Lily got drunk at the dinner table, pointed a finger at me and said, "You're so naive. You think James likes you? His first love married someone else he gave up, and that's why he registered our marriage with you. Understand? I went on a blind date with Rowan, and I liked him the moment I first saw him. I nicknamed him Elijah, because his smile was like my own personal son. How should I describe Rowan? He was like another me in the world. He knew what I liked to eat and what movies I loved to watch. Our routines were identical. In the mornings, we'd brush our teeth together in front of the mirror, and he'd caress my head while brushing. When I cooked, he would wash the dishes for me. Even when we slept at night, he knew my sleeping positions perfectly, holding me securely in his embrace. After work, he would excitedly bring me a large pile of shopping bags, telling me he managed to snag the super popular cream puffs from the newly opened shop downstairs. "Evelyn, you'll absolutely love these." When Rowan smiled, he had two dimples at the corners of his mouth. He always knew my preferences, and every link he shared with me was something I was interested in. One day, he said he saw a diamond ring on his way home from work that would be perfect for me. I asked him what it looked like, and he said, "Wait a second," pulling a small box from his pocket. "How about you marry me? I want to call you Michelle." I still remember the day Rowan and I registered our marriage. The weather wasn't great, but we wore white shirts and paid 50 yuan for that wedding photo. Actually, I remember clearly, when we left City Hall that day, he stared blankly at the marriage certificate for a long time. I asked him what was wrong, if he regretted it. He suddenly picked me up. Two adults at the City Hall entrance. I felt a bit embarrassed and asked him to put me down. But he rested his chin on my neck and whispered, "Read, Mayella. Newlyweds are just so sweet." My colleague teased me, resting her chin in her hand. Since Rowan had been coming to my office to pick me up frequently these past few days, everyone had gotten to know him. Blushing, I hurriedly stuffed my laptop into my bag and made a gesture of zipping my lips. Amidst my colleague's playful, "Oh, you're shy now," jeers, I ran towards Rowan. "Slow down," he said. He patted my head, took my hand, and asked why I was still voluntarily working overtime when I joined a company with a 6-hour workday. I quietly richard to him, and we both burst out laughing at something funny. It felt like being with Rowan was just pure happiness. His eyes crinkled in a smile, and he tucked my messy hair behind my ears. Our old game controller at home had broken. After dinner, I picked up the new game controller, put my hands on my hips, and invited him to play a game. We played 2 rounds, and he didn't let me control the character at all. He practically dominated me. I got angry and kicked at him with my foot. He took the opportunity to grasp my ankle, pulling me towards him and pinning me against the sofa. "Playing games is boring. Let's do something else." That day he called me and said, "Michelle, a new ice cream shop opened downstairs, and I brought you strawberry sea salt flavor. We can also go eat the northeastern cuisine we couldn't get last time, and then watch that anime movie we've been wanting to see tonight." I said, "Okay, are you on your way home from work? I'll wait for you at home." But that day, I waited and waited for him until the house was completely dark before he finally came home. Of course, there was no northeastern cuisine, no anime movie. The box in his hand contained strawberry sea salt ice cream, but it was completely melted. He was dazed. When I helped him, I smelled alcohol on him. "Why did you go drinking?" He pushed me away and rushed into the bathroom. That was probably the first time he had shut himself away in a space separate from me. The phone on the shoe rack kept ringing and ringing. An unfamiliar number called over and over. I hesitated for a long time, but finally snatched up the phone and pressed the answer button. Immediately, a choked sob came through the receiver. Rowan, I regret it. Can't you come back to me?" I frantically hung up the phone. It was a woman calling, a woman I didn't know. He locked himself in the bathroom for almost 2 hours. Finally, I stood outside the bathroom door and knocked. "I'm going to sleep now. Rowan, don't stay in there too long. Don't make me worry about you." He didn't respond to me. Actually, I said I was going to sleep, but how could I? I didn't even feel like looking at my phone. I just lay there with my eyes open, my mind racing about him. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore and opened the bedroom door at 4 a.m. Thankfully, he hadn't stayed in the bathroom. He was on the sofa in the living room, with no lights on. The balcony window was open, letting in some light, and he was like a dark shadow on the sofa. I walked up to him. He slowly lifted his head, staring at me for a long moment, then managed a slight smile. "Put on some clothes, Evelyn. Don't catch a cold." His voice was so hoarse it barely sounded like him. I knelt in front of him, looking at him. He hadn't slept all night. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared down at the carpet. A sudden, aching pain welled up in my heart. The moment my hand touched the back of his, he pulled his hand away. I felt that fleeting, cold touch. I stood there stunned for a moment. "I'm going out for a walk," he said, abruptly standing up without a hint of hesitation. "Rowan, what time is it? Where are you going?" I called out to him from behind, but the only response was the sound of the door closing. I slumped onto the sofa, turned on the TV, and kept flipping through channels over and over. Finally, during a comedy show, I violently threw the remote control back onto the carpet. It bounced high, and the thick battery cover even flew off. Rowan had never treated me like this before. This was probably the first time he hadn't explained anything to me. The first time he ignored me. The first time he completely disregarded my feelings. He didn't want to be in the same room as me. Why? Was it because of that phone that kept ringing? Was it because of that crying girl? It was then that I realized how much I liked Rowan, but I didn't even know who she had liked before. Later, I still drifted off to sleep for a bit, my mind filled with Rowan, who had left the house last night. I either dreamed of him bringing a girl home or of him telling me, "Evelyn, let's get a divorce." Until the sound of the door opening startled me awake. I had thought many times about what I would say to him when he came back. I thought I'd sarcastically say, "Oh, you finally decided to come back?" But instead, I just glanced at him, stood up, and walked towards the bedroom. I felt a bit tired. He followed closely behind me. When we reached the bedroom, he pinned me against the door. "Evelyn, I'm sorry. It's my fault." His voice was naturally lazy, and it took on an even more coaxing, pleading tone when he was trying to appease someone. I slowly pried his hand from my waist. "It's nothing bad. Everyone needs their own space." "Are you angry?" His words weren't a question. They were a statement. "So what? So I'll never just leave without a word again. Please don't be angry, okay?" I lowered my head. The bedroom light wasn't on, and it seemed to be just dawn. The sky hadn't fully brightened. I took a quiet breath. "I'm not angry. I'm just afraid that if you leave without a word, I won't be able to find you again. I'm just afraid that you'll leave at that moment and never come back. I'm probably a very sensitive person, so I start crying when I talk, and eventually, my words become unclear and broken." He seemed a little flustered, wiping the tears from my face with his sleeve, and pulling me into his embrace. "Evelyn, please don't cry. You can ask me to do anything, just don't cry. When you cry, it makes me feel terrible, you know?" Rowan came back from outside and even brought me breakfast, all my favorite things. As always, he remembered all my preferences. I stirred my pure dried silken tofu with chopsticks, looking up at him several times. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair that was about to fall into my soup behind my ear. "What do you want to ask?" "Rowan, someone kept calling you last night. Although we were partners, it didn't mean there was no personal privacy. We usually didn't check each other's phones. So I spoke to him with a little uncertainty. He casually hummed, as if unsurprised. "She's my ex-girlfriend, isn't she?" I looked up at him. He lowered his gaze. I didn't understand why he was unwilling at a time like this. "Yes, she is. She came looking for you yesterday." Rowan and I always had great chemistry, so I probably sensed something when he acted like that. That woman was very special to him. Not just ordinarily special. A wicked thought suddenly crossed my mind, a malicious desire to poke at his pain. Since he was like this, I wanted to ask him, "Why did you break up?" He looked up at me, a little helpless. "Her health wasn't good, and my Ruby didn't approve of him, so you two were forced apart." I started to laugh as I spoke, but for some reason, a wave of bitterness surged within me. "Evelyn, don't laugh like that." For a moment, his eyes showed a hint of panic. He reached out and gently rubbed my head twice. "You are my wife. The only person I could possibly think of first is you. I once thought vows of eternal love were the most useless things in the world. But later, I learned that when you meet someone you like, all you truly want is a thought, a fleeting promise, something to calm that restless heart." I had a premonition that the issue with Rowan's ex-girlfriend wouldn't subside easily. Sure enough, during my lunch break, I received a friend request. "Hello, I'm Sage's ex-girlfriend. Can we talk?" What was there to talk about? I immediately sent a screenshot to Rowan. As always, he replied instantly, "Why aren't you napping?" He was dodging the question again. "Your ex-girlfriend added me as a friend." Ignore her. I didn't text Rowan again, but I still accepted his ex-girlfriend's friend request. Not long after, the woman sent me a message. "Can you divorce Sage?" In my life, I'd never encountered an ex who immediately asked the current partner to get a divorce. While I was utterly stunned, I still casually shared the screenshot with Rowan. He replied with 3 dots and, "Good girl, delete her." Napping? That's definitely not happening. What makes you think I'd divorce Rowan just because of a single sentence from you? I continued texting his ex-girlfriend, "Because I like Rowan, not you." What was agonizing was that Rowan's reaction last night made me feel there was a strong possibility it was my fault. At that time, he sent me a text message saying he had to work overtime today and asked me to go home first. This really got on my nerves. "Come pick me up." I called him. Several departments had issues today, and I have to attend a meeting to deal with them. "Can you go home first, please? Michelle, I promise I'll be home before 7:30. I could indeed hear chaotic noises from the receiver. He was probably truly busy. I could even hear someone calling his name in the background while he picked up my call. Yet I still felt wronged and uneasy. "You're probably on a date with your ex-girlfriend, aren't you? Bye." I abruptly hung up on him. If he wasn't coming to pick me up, then fine. I huffed in anger. If he wasn't picking me up, I didn't want to go home either. Coincidentally, my colleagues were planning a dinner, so I simply went with them to Aurora. Amidst the boisterous crowd, I was squeezed into a corner, feeling utterly defeated. From time to time, I checked my phone, but there was nothing. In the past, if I ever hung up on him, he would always call back to sweet-talk me. But not today. Not at all. I felt a shadow standing in front of me, covering my dizzy head. I tried to figure out who it was, but I couldn't lift my head. Thankfully, he crouched down in front of me. I squinted, trying to focus on his dark eyes, until he extended a finger and poked my forehead. "Just how much have you had to drink?" Then he picked up an empty bottle from the table and looked at it. "Harper? Didn't you say you hated drinking Harper the most? And you drank so much. I guess you're planning on taking tomorrow off, huh?" He pulled me up and wrapped his arms around me. I suddenly grabbed his collar and sniffed. No woman's perfume. "Why did you come looking for me?" He answered calmly and naturally. I had many questions for him, but I didn't know how to ask, like, "Why didn't you call to sweet-talk me first?" Even though I'd been drinking, I felt this question was terribly petty, so I struggled free from his embrace. He then changed tactics, taking my hand, our fingers interlaced. "You drove here." "Rowan, I feel a little carsick. Is this a new problem that just popped up today?" "I always get dizzy after drinking, I felt lightheaded, and then realized he had actually picked me up. The feeling of weightlessness made me cling to Rowan's neck. His hand rested on my waist. "If you're carsick, carrying you there should work, right?" "Hey Rowan, say something?" "What do you want to hear?" "The story about you and your ex-girlfriend." He probably already knew I would check this. There was no surprise. "There's nothing else to say, besides what I've already told you. If she and I both fell into the water at the same time, who would you save first?" "I'd save you. Save me first. Only save you." "See, didn't I save you from being upset?" The night wind was a bit cold, and I shivered. I didn't like the smell of alcohol on myself, but Rowan smelled good. "Give me your jacket. I'm cold." "Okay." I let him down, and he crouched in front of me. He zipped up his somewhat oversized jacket all the way to the top for me. I looked down at him. There were fine beads of sweat on his forehead. "I'll carry you." He was about to crouch down in front of me. I pulled his hand. "No, it's okay, I can walk myself." "Why did your heart ache for James?" His tone held a hint of playfulness. His words made my cheeks flush, and I quickened my pace. He caught up to me from behind and reached out to ruffle my hair twice. Recently, the gossip in the hallway had reached my ears. It seemed my neighbors were all saying I was actually Lucas, baseless rumors. I didn't know if this was the ex-girlfriend's doing. On Saturday, on my way home from grocery shopping, I was inexplicably bumped by a child. "My Ruby said you're a seductress who seduces others." The child made a face at me and ran away. I went upstairs, feeling speechless and bewildered, and saw a woman standing at my doorstep. That was the first time I really took a good look at what Alexander looked like. Rowan's ex-girlfriend was even more beautiful than I'd imagined, a frail, sickly kind of beauty that made you feel she would shatter if touched. She seemed to genuinely believe she had the right to win Rowan back. "Move." I glanced at her, raising my hand to unlock the fingerprint lock. "I don't want to argue with you, so Ms. Amanda, could you please move?" Her tone was as faint and arrogant as it had been on the phone. I sighed. "I've already told you it's impossible. I'm his first love. He loves me to death. What do you have? Do you think you can take him from me?" Her emotions were a bit agitated. Her eyes actually turned red. "I'm sorry, but I have our marriage certificate." I didn't mean to hit a raw nerve, but it was clear that this sentence was a heavy blow to her. She trembled, then became hysterical. Why, when I've already lost everything? Do you still have to steal Sage from me? He's mine. He's mine. She kept mumbling, and I was getting annoyed. Conveniently, the door opened at that moment. I was about to tell him not to wail at my doorstep, when suddenly she deliberately fell backward. Ah, you pushed me. Then she pitifully sobbed. She took quite a nasty fall. I was about to help her up and ask if she needed me to book an appointment with a neurologist at City General Hospital, when I caught a glimpse of a white shirt. Rowan was standing behind us. I don't know when he got there, and he even helped me by taking the groceries I was carrying. Seriously? It's the 21st century, and this woman is still pulling this trick? She looked pitiful, but her peripheral vision was fixed on Rowan. Rowan simply lowered his head and sifted through the groceries in my hands. What are we having for dinner tonight? He completely ignored her. The woman stared at us in disbelief. Rowan, looking weary, gently pushed me towards the house by my waist. Wait, Rowan. The woman got up again and grabbed Rowan's wrist. Do you really not want me anymore? Her eyes were still red, and her red lips trembled uncontrollably. She wasn't even trying to pretend anymore. She was all in. Didn't you say you'd never leave me? Rowan, only you can save me now. That was actually the first time I'd seen annoyance on Rowan's face. Rowan, who smiled at everyone and was like Elijah to everyone, would lose his composure only because of one woman. He violently shook off the woman's hand. Alexander, can you please grow up? There are many things you need to face on your own. I haven't been the person to save you for a long time, and stop harassing my wife. The moment the door closed, I saw the woman slowly slide down, utterly distraught, but then she suddenly looked up at me. There was a burning hatred in her eyes. I was startled. The door separated everything, and it took me a long time to recover. He pulled me into his embrace, and I let him hold me, gently stroking my hair. I'm sorry, Evelyn. I stared at the floor, suddenly feeling a sharp ache in my nose. Rowan, tell me, was marrying you truly the right decision? He opened his eyes for a moment, almost pulling me tighter into his embrace. I won't let you go. Alexander continued to harass Rowan frequently. I knew that eventually. It seemed calling 911 was what finally calmed things down. After that, Alexander didn't appear in our lives for a long time. I also learned roughly about their past from Rowan's old friends. Rowan's father, Ruby, wasn't happy with Alexander, but Rowan had never thought of breaking up with him. It was Alexander who first got involved with the CEO, and Rowan became completely disheartened after that, which is why his family arranged the blind date with me. So you see, no wonder Alexander thought she would win. Even Rowan and I meeting was thanks to her. Rowan, our company is organizing a mountain climbing trip to Kyle, and we can bring relatives. Are you coming? I walked into the living room holding a spatula. Rowan was working on the sofa. James. He grinned, reaching out to pinch my cheek. Several days passed after that. Rowan was trying hard to make me forget the unpleasant things I knew, and my own life was slowly improving. On one hand, it was because there was no longer an interference forcefully coming between us. On the other hand, it was me. I had some good news to tell Rowan. In the evening, Rowan was packing our luggage. I dawdled my way to the bedroom door. Rowan. I waved to him. He raised an eyebrow, walked up to me, and being quite tall, cunningly pinned me against the doorframe. I actually had something to tell you. I could just say it, but now I'll see how you perform. Watch me carefully. He patted my head and asked what else I needed to bring. Let's go, Rowan. Another reason was that he would help me pack. I have to admit, his organized packing always looked better than my haphazard stuffing. Since it was a company-organized event, quite a few families came, including those with children. Phoenix, from the cubicle next to mine, had a child who just started kindergarten, a Liam, who looked especially cute. Did you always like children this much? I used snacks to play with Nova. Rowan gathered my long hair behind me. I've always liked them. What about you? Do you like children? I looked at him. I do, especially when he leans close to me in Walmart. If we had a child, the journey to Kyle wasn't long. We had to wait for Robert. Even with my sunscreen, I still felt the sun was a bit strong. Just as I raised my hand to shield from the sun, Rowan opened an umbrella and held it over my head, his eyes twinkling. Seeing my expression that clearly said, he really does know his Michelle best. I was just about to tease him when a taxi suddenly screeched to a halt in front of me. It was truly mine. The kind of driver who almost drifted. A woman stumbled out of the car and immediately tried to grab Rowan's arm. Hey, what are you doing? Who are you? There were many of us, and seeing the commotion, everyone gathered around. Rowan, come with me. I didn't recognize the girl pulling his arm, but from Rowan's expression, he clearly knew her. The woman looked anxious, but Rowan stood still. Alexander, he attempted suicide. My temple suddenly throbbed. This name always meant trouble. He's been rescued, but he needs an emergency blood transfusion. Rowan, you know he has Rh-negative blood. The blood bank has none available right now. Only you can save him. Rowan's blood type was also very rare, Zion, also known as Rh-negative blood. I did know Alexander attempted suicide. Why did he jump? Was it because of Rowan? For a moment, my mind was a jumble. Rowan stood silently, and the woman couldn't pull him away no matter how hard she tried. The woman turned to me and suddenly knelt down. You're Rowan's wife, right? Yes. Hello, I'm Aurora. I know Alexander has done many things wrong, but now only Rowan can save him. I beg you, please, let bygones be bygones. Please let Rowan donate blood for Alexander. This is about saving a life. The woman kept pleading with me on the ground, and more people were looking our way. My mind felt like a tangled mess. Her crying constantly agitated my heart, as if she wouldn't leave until she got her way. After a very long time, I heard Rowan's voice. I'll go with you. It was very low and soft, yet so undeniable. The woman abruptly stood up in front of me, grinning before she even wiped away her tears. Rowan bent down, got into the car, and closed the door. He didn't look at me once from start to finish. I stared blankly as the taxi sped away. And then I suddenly remembered the good news I had secretly wanted to tell Rowan. I was pregnant. He didn't know, and later, he would never have the chance to know. Robert traveled all the way to the mountains. I stared blankly at the scenery outside the window. Evelyn, do you want a cheese stick? Phoenix nudged my shoulder. He left with the taxi. I was the only one left on this trip. I looked. I told James to sit with the child, she said, then added. My Ari loves these. Try it. A jelly-like cheese stick was held to my mouth, sparkling under the light. Thanks, Phoenix. I gave her a faint smile. Many people had witnessed the scene of him leaving me just now. I knew Phoenix was being considerate. How old is your Ari? 6 years old. He'll start elementary school next year. When talking about children, Phoenix became radiant, pulling me along and continuously telling stories about her child. I subconsciously caressed my own belly. Rowan's and my child, a miraculously conceived seed, was growing inside my belly. The landscape of Kyle was especially beautiful. Because it hadn't been overdeveloped, it retained much of its local charm and customs. We were to stay here for one night. Staying in a mountain lodge in the mountains, the owner brought out several. While waiting for dinner and the chickens to be prepared, the children started playing noisily. Nova, who had been playing so well with me this afternoon, suddenly ran up to me. Where's Willow, Benjamin? It took me a while to realize he was talking about Rowan. I knew he was just a child and didn't understand anything, but I still felt an inexplicable emptiness in my heart. Benjamin doesn't want Willow anymore? Why doesn't he want Willow anymore? Nova tilted his head looking at me. Because Benjamin has to save someone very important to him. Benjamin isn't the important person, Willow. I opened my mouth, but for a long moment, not a single word came out. Willow, here, have some candy. But Nova quickly forgot. This tea has candy water for me to share, Willow. Willow doesn't want snacks before dinner like you. Her Abigail picked him up from behind, smiling as she apologized to me. I shook my head and said, it's fine. There were several families on this trip. Perhaps because I was so alone, everyone seemed quite sensitive to my presence. My phone vibrated with a text message from Rowan. Judging by the time, they should have arrived. I wondered if they had managed to save his first love. He called me, but I hung up directly. The text message was plain, telling me he had taken my toiletries from the suitcase. There was a full moon in the mountains, and tree shadows swayed on the ground. I saw the guard dogs bark twice, and then from somewhere unknown, the evening breeze suddenly began to blow. We had gone rafting that afternoon, and everyone was quite tired. After dinner, we all went back to our respective rooms. I closed the door to the empty room, lay down on the bed, and touched my belly again. It truly felt miraculous. There was a life inside. Now, was I not one person but two? In my mind, I started naming this little one. If the last name was Song, what would be a good name? Song, Star? There were many names from abroad, but naming them so casually felt too irresponsible. I needed to go back and properly research names for her. While choosing a name for her, I actually drifted off to sleep. When I woke up again, there was frantic knocking at the door. Evelyn, are you there? Evelyn, wake up quickly. Earthquake. Earthquake. I stared blankly, listening to Phoenix's shouts from outside. My mind couldn't process what was happening, but the bed was shaking continuously, and the ceiling looked like it could fall at any moment, until dust kept falling onto my face. I jolted awake, pulled my legs up, and ran wildly towards the door. People were shouting non-stop. Outside the window was a never-before-seen apocalyptic scene. Huge chunks of the mountain were directly falling, creating layers of mud. Phoenix and her family were outside. Many people ran out one after another. The children's heart-wrenching cries blended with the immense noise. I shakily managed to stand steady, and then the ground gradually split open with a fissure. Evelyn, come over. Phoenix was still trying to reach out her hand to me when a large rock crashed down right in front of us. Careful. Her James shielded her tightly. This was the last thing I saw. How wonderful that she had someone to protect her. The ground beneath me suddenly collapsed, and I plummeted downwards along with the floor. I suddenly felt a piercing pain in the sole of my foot. It turned out I had stepped on a screw because I was running too fast. The feeling of weightlessness, skin scratched by debris, and then after the sudden fall, a bone-crushing pain. I suddenly found myself alone. At the very bottom, things were still falling, and a large rock was heavily pressing down on my leg. I couldn't pull it out. The noise was so incredibly loud that my own crying was barely audible. I suddenly broke down. Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Someone please save me. Who will save me? It was completely dark. Nothing. I couldn't see anything. Even the moonlight was obscured. I didn't know if it was too much, or if I was already blind. I tried to pull my leg out with my hand, but I couldn't budge it. It hurt so much, it hurt so much. Someone please save me. Lucas, Abigail. Rowan, it really hurts. The pain in my abdomen wasn't obvious at first, until I felt something slowly flowing out. My brain slowly registered that something strange was happening. At that moment, all I could think was that I finally wouldn't have to figure out how to tell Rowan we were having a baby. Amidst the sound of falling rocks, I mumbled his name. Would you be happy because your first love was ruined? But it seems our child is gone. I had a dream. It was raining heavily, and Rowan was running towards me like a madman. That grown man knelt beside me, continuously calling my name, but I was tired and didn't want to answer him. Then I heard the doctor tell him, "Don't you know? Michelle was pregnant, but now it's gone. There's nothing that could be done." This time, it was already a miracle that I was alive. Ruby, friends, and colleagues all gathered around me, urging me to wake up quickly. But I was so tired, so hungry, and in so much pain. Scenes from my life flashing before my eyes, like a montage, passed before me. I remembered the first day I met Rowan. He truly was someone who easily made others like him. But Rowan, was I too headstrong? When I saw Phoenix's James protecting her, I couldn't stop myself from wondering if you would have protected me too, if you had been there. Didn't you tell me you'd save me first? You liar. The ticking of the machines, every part of my body felt like it was being pierced with pain. I blinked my eyes. Hospital ceilings were always so stark white. Evelyn, you're awake. Good. I'll go get the doctor. The chair still stood, then was violently pushed away, sliding with a loud noise. I came to my senses. The room was already empty. He really was as impatient as ever. A doctor in a white coat hurried in, asking me many questions about my condition. I tilted my head and saw my Ruby standing in the corner, secretly wiping away tears, which made me want to cry too. It's good that you're okay. Haven't you gotten out of the critical period already? Hey, you two really are. Dean interjected from behind, clumsily trying to lighten the mood. Evelyn, you truly narrowly escaped death this time. Oh, I'm finally relieved, you know? I've been praying to a higher power these past few days. It's truly a blessing. Thank goodness you're okay. You can have children again later. It's not a big deal, right? It's not your fault, as long as you're okay. Ruby made you pureed chicken soup. The doctor said you could only eat soft foods for now. Here, Ruby will blow on it for you. After that, many more people came to see me, mostly friends and relatives. My best friend since childhood hugged me and cried the moment she saw me, almost crushing my delicate ribs. Evelyn, I've missed you so much. I raised my hand to wipe away the tears from her cheeks. We all knew about the rotten thing he did. Your Ruby questioned him about why he didn't go to Kyle with you, and who knew, he actually went to write something for his ex-girlfriend. In my opinion, his ex-girlfriend is gone, and this bad guy Rowan has been driven away by us. Without your permission, we won't let him see you. Evelyn, just focus on recovering these next few days. Don't let that jerk upset you. Actually, it was fine. I didn't really want to see him, at least not right now. I was afraid that the moment I saw him, I'd feel an overwhelming sense of injustice. I had been sleeping for days, but now at night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on the bed, my hand unconsciously resting on my abdomen again. There was Michelle. My Ruby said it simply, but I didn't know myself. With such a large wound, getting pregnant again would probably be very difficult. I counted properly today. Even if I fully recovered, I'd have dozens of scars on my body. It was truly frustrating. I should have known better than to go to Kyle. It wasn't fun, and it caused such a huge disaster. Just as I was idly daydreaming, the hospital room door was gently pushed open. It was so late, I thought no one would come, but I was familiar with his footsteps. He then walked to my bedside and skillfully pulled the kicked-off blanket back over me. Good. The air conditioner made a sound. He probably turned up the temperature. He pulled the half-draped blanket over me, but I finally couldn't resist and pulled it down again. Rowan stood by my bed, his eyes open, not asleep. When did his voice become so hoarse? We gazed at each other in the quiet darkness, and finally he gave in, calling my name, Evelyn. In the darkness he opened his mouth, but the boundless silence enveloped us. Was it my fault? I never thought my voice could be so steady. I thought for a long time. I was unwilling, I was selfish, but it was just the truth. What did you do wrong? You just went to save someone. You would have saved anyone, wouldn't you? Do you have some kind of precognition? How could you have known things would turn out like this? I understand, Rowan, I understand everything. Why should I blame you? I know my soul felt split in two, unwillingness and hatred mixed with compassion and kindness, both provoking and suppressing me at the same time. I desperately tried to appear at peace, until he hugged me. He had a faint cigarette smoke smell on him, and he never smokes. And I thought of Evelyn. Turns out, people really can hate themselves. I dream of going back and punching my past self, you know? I dream of wishing I'd found out you were pregnant sooner. You gave me so many hints. It was my fault, I should have asked you sooner. If I had known you were pregnant, I would never have let you go there alone. I found him trembling. What profound sorrow was unfurling from this frail man. Could this man actually cry? His breathing was heavy. He seemed to want to hold me tighter, but was afraid of hurting me. I stared blankly at a sliver of light on the floor, slowly experiencing an uncontrollable sadness spreading. Let's get a divorce. Rowan felt her breathing stop for a moment. Rowan, actually Alexander came to see me today. What a coincidence. We were both at City General Hospital. He broke his leg, but he still insisted on coming to see me. Do you know what he told me? He said thank you. Thank you for sacrificing our child's life for his true feelings. He said he felt his life was borrowed from our child. I angrily clutched the bedsheet. Don't listen to his nonsense, he's gone mad. He's crazy. I suddenly grabbed the collar of the person in front of me. He let me pull him, and I clearly saw my own face in his eyes, desperate and wretched. But I'm crazy too. No one is wrong. The earthquake took our child, but what about me? What about my child? Who will save me? Who will pity me? In the darkness, what did her eyes hold when she looked at me? Tenderness, indulgence, guilt, sorrow. But I don't want her to look at me like that. The thought of what intimate things you and he once did makes me sick. Disgust is instinctive. I don't blame you, but I still hate you. Listen, I continued, I hate you. My head finally rested on his chest, my voice growing softer. Let's stop here. Anything more would be too much. Rowan agreed to the divorce. I knew he would agree. He always indulged me. No matter what I asked for, he eventually couldn't help but satisfy me. The weather wasn't good the day we registered our marriage, and today was also overcast. After we finished, she asked me how I was getting home. I said I'd take a taxi. In Kyle. No need, it's out of your way. Mr. James. Mr. James. He chuckled, then murmured, repeating my words. Evelyn, you've never called me Mr. James. Mr. James, what did you say to him that day we parted? I don't know if I can't remember, or if I deliberately forgot. Zaijian, in Chinese means see you again, so I guess I didn't say that day. I said bye-bye. During the annual leave, I went to Dakota. It's really beautiful there, 300 yuan for a gaming lodge for 3 nights. From the window you can see Quinn, which is snow-capped all year round, and music bars that open in the evening. A little flower girl held a large bouquet of iridescent roses and smiled at me. I bought a bunch to take back to the hotel, take photos, and post on my social media. Oh, by the way, Willow, this is for you. The little girl rummaged through the bag beside her. She actually held multiple jobs. This letter has been passed around many times. And today it finally caught up with your itinerary. It's fate. I wish you good luck today. I returned to the hotel and slowly unfolded the letter. Rowan's handwriting was like chicken scratch, so much so that I recognized it at a glance. I know he has a college degree, but he never cared much about handwriting. Fortunately, he wrote slowly, so I could generally make sense of it. Evelyn, this is the 31st letter I've written to you. I tore up the previous ones. The handwriting was too ugly, and I was never satisfied with what I wrote. Please don't judge it too harshly. This is after I practiced the penmanship book. I've recently picked up the bad habit of smoking. Maybe it's because there's no one to make me quit anymore, and everyone around me smokes, so I smoke a lot too. But don't worry, I didn't smoke before writing to you. I won't let the letter paper smell like smoke. I used to think that there wouldn't be anything in life that I'd regret saying. Then until I met you, every night I dreamed, wishing I had gone with you to the mountains that day. I could have protected you, protected us. Sorry, you probably hate me for saying so much. If you don't like a man who kneels and begs you. I know you don't like being pestered. I know I can't give you anything anymore. You said you hate me. What can I do? I can only accept it. Even hatred can keep me in your heart for a while, right? For a while, I often couldn't understand how things turned out this way. Then I realized that life always has regrets, always has remorse, always has unfortunate coincidences. Last time, I went drinking with friends, got drunk, and bumped my head on some glass. My friends said I kept calling your name and asked me why I said that. Maybe I still haven't found peace. I miss you a bit. Perhaps it's because I always miss your toothbrush cup next to mine. I bought another one and put it there. You forgot to take the flowers you planted when you moved out. I spent some time but still couldn't fix him. Now he's barely surviving. I guess it's ridiculous to say I can't bear to let you go now. But I still wrote this letter. He used to excitedly bring me a large pile of shopping bags after work, telling me he managed to get the popular cream puffs from the newly opened store downstairs. So, please be a little more tolerant of me. I'm going crazy thinking about you. I inquired from friends and found out you changed to a job that involves moving around a lot, like you're hiding from me. Anyway, as long as you're happy. I haven't changed jobs. I recently got promoted. The cream puff store near my house closed down. I can't keep saying things like, I'll buy them for you when you come back, to fool myself. I've written quite a lot. You must be annoyed with me. Before too, it was always long paragraphs, and you were too lazy to read them. Evelyn, I still want to tell you that I love you. One thing is, no matter when you appeared in my life, I would have fallen in love with you. Your hatred for me is instinctive, but my love for you is the same.